Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
This is Wendy Babcock with When Stories. We are here with Erica, who did her When Stories on the March 28th episode. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you.
So I'm excited for everyone to learn more about you because they're going to hear your When Story, which will play right after your interview here. So tell everyone a little bit about who you are.
Well, my name is Erica. I am a mom of two adult children and married to a wonderful man named Jay, and I live in southeastern Wisconsin. And I'm in my early mid 50s and am on a kind of a transitional journey in life, and really appreciate the opportunity to have been with you, Wendy, on this journey. So in a lot of the work that I'm doing now, I'm doing a lot of speaking and writing, and am working on the final steps of publishing a book. So a lot of things are kind of coming to fruition finally. So you've been a big part of that. So really happy to be with you and have you in my life.
You too. So it's interesting. So just a little backstory. So when Erica and I met, we like clicked immediately. Like we probably could have sat and talked for the entire freaking day.
For sure.
You
For
know?
sure.
So I love connections like this where we're just like, okay, like no matter what we do together, like we're automatic friends. Let's hang out, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So I love that.
Yeah. Can we get matching pajamas or tattoos? How are we going to make this happen?
Yes, right. Exactly. So, all right. So without giving away like the one story, because that's going to play next for those who haven't heard it. And by the time this airs, your one story will have premiered. But let's talk about, how did you get to the place where you wanted to share your story? I mean, that's how we connected was, you have something to say.
Yeah. I felt like, and I explained this in the talk, that this experience that I had with a friend of mine, like 12 some years ago, was really a powerful moment in my life. And I worked on internally telling the story and overcoming um, the lies that I believed about myself that were such a pattern in my life. And so just doing a lot of inner healing. And when we got together, I just felt like it was time to let it out. And
Mm.
I was writing the book, and I explained how the book finally came to be. But I felt like meeting you and walking on that stage and getting it out of my mouth was such a powerful healing experience for me that I sobbed, and we embraced afterwards, because I just felt like a weight off of my shoulders. It was such a powerful experience for me.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was finally time to let it go.
Yeah. I think you and I had similar experiences. Even when I gave mine for the first round of one stories, I did the same thing. I basically walked off stage. I was vibrating in the
Yeah.
best way, but like then crying, like,
Yeah.
holy crap. Like it was a release. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a release.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about your life up to this. So,
Hmm.
you know, you rediscovered your spiritual side. I mean, I know that's part of your story. You rediscovered God in your life. So, and of course, I don't want to give away your talk, but you've been trying to write a book for over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the book that you're going to be publishing, how does that look different now compared to when you started?
Yeah, I felt like it, I was stuck for a really long time, and I think like a lot of us, I was stuck in the bad part of my story, or the what I thought was the bad part of my story, and I just kept repeating patterns. I kept, I talk about the victim villain story that I memorized and uh, retold and elaborated for decades. And that allowed me to stay small, and it allowed me to not be brave, and it allowed me to do things that weren't good for me. And um, for some reason, something finally clicked. And, it was a really rough year when the book finally started coming out. And I think I grew to, sometimes when bad things happen to us, we wonder, where is God? Why did he leave me? Why didn't he do
Yeah.
something? And in the year that the writing really started flowing was the worst year ever. And it's like God knew that I would need him the most then. And I never felt so close to God as I did in this writing, and it was so amazing and crazy, and I'm so grateful for it, and it's just changed my life. And my only goal is that I can give the book to one other person and that they have an experience like that. It's God is so good, and He wants to help us through the tough times that we have to experience here. So I don't know. It was
Right.
just an awesome, awesome experience. And writing the speech and being part of it in this way helped me frame the story in a way that I couldn't have had I not have done this.
Oh, wow. So two things. One, it takes some clear insightfulness for what you just said, as far as like you saw that you were stuck in the, that part of your story, regurgitating it, living through it, kind of in that mindset. That's huge. A lot of people don't have that insight. So that's unique in that you saw that,
Yeah,
clearly enough to say something's got to change, and then you took action.
yeah.
That that's big.
I guess you know how that saying, like, you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, kind of.
Yes.
And I think another big part of it was that my sister passed in April of last year when I was writing, and her and I had a very close relationship, but a complicated one. And I felt her spirit with me so much when I wrote, and I feel like she helped me get this done. And she's been a partner with me in my healing and in my healing, her healing. And it's been a
Right.
really um, emotional experience to experience unexpected grief and healing at the same time. So
Right.
complicated.
Yeah, it's kind of a contradiction in a way, going through grief and healing at the same time,
Yeah, yeah,
balancing those things. That's huge.
yeah, so deep.
So,
And I live in deep
yeah,
thinking waters anyways, so
right.
I'm used to
Which is why
heavy and
you and
deep.
I mesh really
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but this has been off the charts, man. So, you know, I'm looking for a little
But
shallower.
right?
Maybe. If not, that's okay too. But
Right. And then the second thing that you said is in the book, right? So, we talked briefly before we got on this call. Like, I'm not a reader, like in the
hmm
traditional, I have to listen to Audible. So you discovered like you're not a sit down, read a novel type of person. So your book is unique. Do you want to talk a little bit about why your
yeah,
book is unique?
yeah, that's such a great point because I think another thing I really realized through this, which isn't the greatest insight when you say it out loud, but it's like I was trying to do something the way other people were, the way that I thought other people would have expected me to do something. And
Right.
that's been a pattern in my life in a lot of ways. And it really dawned on me that like you said, I don't like reading long books. I have a friend who we just went on a trip and she loves reading. She read like 5 books in like 10 days. Like she just, any free moment, she picks up her book. And I'm just not like that. So the book that I'm writing is short snippets. It's a daily devotional with just a few paragraphs and a couple insights that will help you get on with your day. And maybe you don't read it every day. Maybe you pick it up
Right.
and the book falls open to a page and it's exactly what you needed to hear. And that's the stuff I vibe with, is just give me a couple
Yeah.
thoughts. I'm busy. I'm always running around doing things. So just give me just a couple bullet points. I'm a bullet point girl. you know,
Yeah.
give me some thoughts so I can get on with my day. So that's how I like it. There's 12 themes to the book, which you can refer back to if you're having issues, let's say feeling like unworthy or feeling like you're not enough or um, different things like that. So you can page through it and find something that might speak to you. So I love books like that.
Yeah, and I think that would resonate with me, even though I'm not like a quote unquote reader, like book in hand, Audible, but with something like that, because I, I'm always like kind of that weirdo that's looking for signs, right? I see like triple digit numbers, and I'm like, okay, what's this angel number mean, or whatever it is,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then for that, like when you said the book falls open, you read something, and it's like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that, and now I
Right.
love that, where you don't got to
Right.
sit read it from cover to cover, but it's like you're going to open it and sit down with it when you need it.
Right. And
I love that.
what a gift, you, Wendy, as a creator of music and speaking and just communication, to be able to listen to the spirit move through you and be able to express something that can touch another person in that way is really a blessed honor. and
Oh,
that in
wow.
our pain and the experiences that we had in life, and that our journey of healing can help someone in their journey. I mean, what is better than that? What is
It, you
better
know,
than that?
it's interesting because you know where I think that stems from is when I was going through some tough shit, basically, excuse me, through like a prior marriage and stuff. There wasn't a lot of, well, we didn't have the internet for a long time through that marriage for me, obviously. And I wasn't exactly going to the library to check out books. So I didn't know what I needed. But now
Yeah.
in the day of social media, I mean, you can open up TikTok, and that's how I found like Alethea Crimmins, open it and hear this message, and you're like, oh my gosh. And it's somebody talking about the challenges, the things they've been through, and how they've created something on the other side. And I've realized that that's what I needed, and I just wish I would have had it sooner. And
Yes.
that's how this all kind of came to fruition. Was it's what I would have needed. I think we all do that. We all speak on, we all share with what the former version of ourselves would have needed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's deep. And I think as I went through this experience that I thought was for me and my personal journey, when I decided to like write my posts and share them on social media and on my website, and I didn't like really push it out there or promote it or anything, but just to my people. And
Hmm.
I was blown away that there were a couple of days, many days, when I would write something and sob and just felt like God was just sitting next to me, like ministering to me. And I was like, whoa. And then somebody would say, how did you know that that's exactly what I wanted to hear? And I was like, what are you talking about? That's what I needed. It's like, so it just
Yeah.
like, it really made me realize that no matter what you are going through, you literally are not alone. There is absolutely other people going through what you are going through.
Yeah.
And I joke in the writing that like the devil, whether he's a red lycra jumpsuit guy with dark
Mhm.
eyeliner and a pitchfork, he loves us in isolation. He wants us to be alone and to
Yeah.
feel alone and to be in the darkness. And when we open our mouth and when we communicate the pain within and let the light in, something miraculous happens. And I
Yeah.
I mean I could cry because I feel like this journey isn't over yet. Like I don't know what's happening next, but I have
Right.
a really hard time now talking about the bad stories because they don't matter anymore.
Right.
And for many, many years, I had those babies memorized. I could,
Hmm.
and it doesn't, they don't hold me back anymore. They don't have a hold on me anymore because I brought the light into the darkness. And
Yeah.
I never thought that would be possible,
Right.
that
Well,
I could
and
be
there's
free
there's
of
an
it.
yeah, and that's very important what you said. I mean, to not live in it, but also be able to call it out. So yeah, I went through this crap, and but here's what I did. Here's how I got out of that. Here's what I learned through it, and it creates that connection, that bridge between people. Like when you're having these deep conversations with somebody brand new. I
Hmm.
love people who go deep immediately with me. Like when just
Yeah.
on a call, we don't know each other, and all of a sudden it's like, let's talk about literally everything that we've ever
Hmm.
been through, and you make that connection. And I think that's what our world needs right now is
Yeah.
for the stories. I think that's how we
Hmm.
connect on a human level and not all the
Yeah.
political BS that we see thrown around or whatever. Because I think about, one stories and every woman that was in the room. I have no clue how anybody votes. Never came up, was never an issue. We were just human beings sharing our stories. We all just connected on this very deep level, and
Yeah.
nobody gave a crap about the surface level BS that
Yes.
is thrown in our faces all day long.
Yes, it's like, I said something to you early on, Wendy, about that this is not just an opportunity to help people build their business or learn to
Yeah.
speak confidently. You are setting captives free. You are setting captives free. And when I saw that group of women from all over the world, you
Yeah.
know, coming together, we were united in a past story of brokenness, whether it was health, whether it was parental abuse, whether it was marital abuse, whether it was health problems, genetic issues, grief. There were so many different stories that had different connections, but that they were different stories, but they all had a connection
Yeah.
of a hero's story. And I remember when I
Yeah.
first started writing, I had a coach who was trying to teach me about how to write a book in the model of a hero's story. And I get it now because um, our story isn't over. And I read in a that Rick Rubin's book the other day, and it said, "I wonder what will happen to our hero next."
Yeah,
And I just
that's
thought, what a beautiful way to look at your life. And something that I've realized as telling this story is that the story that I told in this talk that you're about to show might not have been as terrible as I remember. And it might not have been this awful thing. But the devil told me that it was. And the devil told me that people didn't love me and that they hated me and that I was unlovable and not enough. Though people may not have, they probably felt terrible. But I
wow.
realized that like I started to twist my reality
Wow.
in order to make myself, in order to start developing this story of who I was, this
Yeah.
poor girl that was treated unfairly. And it was a pattern that I started to develop. So I'm really like thinking like perception or reality, you know? It's like,
Yeah, that's huge.
dude, it's so deep.
Yeah, and with the hero story, I mean, here's the thing is you get to decide now. So
Yeah.
you're the hero of the story. So now where that leads into speaking, releasing your book, whatever it is, wherever life's going to
Mhm.
take you.
Yeah.
So how can people follow your story? What's the best way for someone to connect with you?
Well, they can go to my website, yourpivotalpoint.com. They can connect and subscribe there. I'm still doing um, writing on my blog through that. My book will be published soon. And I'm also available to do speaking at events or, I can be an MC. I could facilitate
Yeah.
panels. I could do workshops, whatever you need. So, yeah, and just really discovering who I am. Come along and discover me with me.
Well, I love that. And we'll put all Erica's links in the show notes below. So check those out. Connect with Erica. Thank you again, Erica.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, it was a cold winter day in December of 2023, and I was hanging out in a moment that seemed like so many other moments. Me, plopped down on my couch, slumped over my phone, lost in a scrolling session on Instagram. My finger cramped as I scrolled through my favorite videos of cute puppies and people falling in front of security cameras, interrupted by ads about wrinkle creams or crepey skin fixes. When all of a sudden I stopped at a video of this grizzly looking man who had a long gray beard, tinted glasses, and he's sitting on a chair cross legged and barefoot, talking into a podcast microphone. He kind of looked like a guy from the band ZZ Top. Why I stopped at this video, I have no idea. It turns out this dude is Rick Rubin, a Grammy Award winning music producer who works with artists like Lady Gaga, Adele, Jay-Z, Johnny Cash, just to name a few. So I'm like, all right, let's see what this dude has to say. So the podcast interview asked him a question and said, so when you make a song, how do you know what's going to be a hit? And the answer that Rick gave changed everything for me. He emphatically responded and said, I don't care about any of that. I make music I like. And I would tell anybody who's creating anything to think the same way. Don't worry about what they want or what they like or what's hot or what's not. You focus on what you want and what you like. And I was like, duh, why didn't I think of that? And you're probably wondering, okay, why was this such a big pivotal moment for you? So let me go back a little bit and explain. I'm going to rewind to about 12 years ago when I was spending the afternoon with my dear friend Jessica. She had invited me over because she was being trained on a new prayer technique called theophostic prayer, which focuses on God healing the pain of past experiences. So when she told me about it, I jumped at the chance because I'm all about healing. And I mean, painful past experiences. I've got a lot. Let's do this. So we cuddled up on the couch, and as the sun broke through the curtains, we got started. Jessica began with one question. Can you recall and share a painful moment from your childhood? And I got a smirk on my face, and I was like, sure. Do you want me to go alphabetical, chronological, Using humor as a deflection is one of my superpowers. And Jessica just looked at me with her sweet smile, and I was like, all right, that's not going to work here. So let me get serious and think of something. So I started going through my woe is me top hits. And all of a sudden, this repressed memory came out of the corner of my mind. And up until that point, I had completely forgotten about it. So I closed my eyes and I kind of felt myself going back in time, kind of like when you're having a dream and you're experiencing it, but you're also watching it. So as the memory started coming back, the tears started flowing, and I got that weird lump in your throat that you get right before you start sobbing. So Jessica grabbed my hands and I began to tell the story. It happened when I was in elementary school, probably fourth or fifth grade. I was hanging out at my house, chilling out on the back porch with my friend, when all of a sudden the house phone rang, a house phone with a cord. So I had to get up and go into the house because that's what you used to have to do when you had to answer a phone call. So I picked up the phone and it was my sister on the other line, sounded super stressed. And she's like, "You have to get ready. I'm coming over right now. Something happened to mom." And that's all she would say. So I hang up the phone, and it's like nothing like a good panic to get your adrenaline rushing. So, but I was kind of used to it because there was always something going on with my family. My mom lived with multiple sclerosis and coped with alcohol. So there was usually something going on there. My sister was a bit of a troublemaker. And so there was some kind of nonsense happening pretty regularly. So I thought, all right, here we go again. I went outside, made up some kind of lie to my friend, asked her to politely leave, and waited for my sister to come and get me. So moments later, she pulled up in her tan Ford Pinto, and I opened the front door, and smoke came billowing out, and the smell of Love's Baby Soft kind of made my eyes water, and I hopped in the front seat. And I'm like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And she's like, "I'll tell you when we get to Grandma's house." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Well, whatever it is, I'll be okay because I'll be with my grandma and she's my safe person." So we get to the house and my grandma's sitting at the dining room table, smoking a cigarette, looking down, and kind of avoiding eye contact with me. My sister sat at the table with her and proceeded to tell me that my mom was arrested for stealing pajamas for me from Kmart. Now, for those of you who don't know what Kmart is, this is an old department store that used to have the most amazing blue light specials, where an employee would push a cart around the store and the cart had a blue light that would flash and an announcement would come over saying, "Sale is happening now while the light is flashing." It was all very exciting. Okay, so anyways, back to the story. So my mom was arrested for stealing pajamas from Kmart for me. And I was just confused. I'm like, what? How? And the questions just started pouring out of me. I'm like, why did she steal pajamas for me? I have a ton of pajamas. Like, why didn't she just leave the store? It just didn't make any sense. I was confused. And then all of a sudden, confusion was replaced by guilt and shame and fear because something was happening and it was my fault. And that kind of became a pattern for me. So I started sobbing. And all of a sudden, I look across the room, the smoky room, and I see on the buffet table my mom's purse sitting there. And I'm like, well, mom's purse is there. And she went nowhere without her purse. And my sister said, yeah, that's why she got arrested because she didn't have any money with her. And I'm like, okay. And then I kind of squinted a little closer and I saw this green plastic frog hanging out of the purse. And it was her signature keychain. And I'm like, okay, how those are her keys. How did she get to the store? And all of a sudden, my mom comes out of the other room, laughing uncontrollably, making her way to sit by my grandmother. It was a joke. And I was just in shock. I was like, who would think this is funny? I couldn't believe it. And this thought came to me of, these are my people. These are the people who are supposed to love me more than anybody. And they're choosing to hurt me like this. I just didn't understand it. And I just felt so alone as I watched them like belly laughing at the pride of their successful prank, when all of a sudden the room completely shifted scenes. And I saw myself kind of hunkered down on the ground, covering my head with my hands. And my mother and my sister and my grandmother were standing over me, kind of laughing and jeering like evil clown Jack in the Boxes from a cheesy horror film. And as the pain and despair of their mockery started to overtake me, I heard this whisper in the distance. And it was my friend Jessica asking a question. The first thing she said since I began telling the story: "Where is Jesus?" And I thought to myself, yeah, great question. And so as I'm hunkered down, I turn to my right and I see a figure approaching. And I see that it's Jesus. And he has this fierce determination in his eyes. And as he gets closer to us, he says the most beautiful words I have ever heard I could have heard in that moment. "Get away from her, she's mine." And all of a sudden the scene shifted again. I was no longer in the dining room. I was in this empty room that was totally stark white. The sounds of laughter and jeers disappeared, and along with them, my family. It was just me, hunkered down with my hands over my head, and Jesus standing next to me. Slowly, he reached down and helped me rise up and stand next to him. And when I looked down at where I just was, this smoldering, fiery pile of ashes appeared. And Jesus explained, "This is your past. This is your pain. The things done to you, the things done by you." And all of a sudden, these pieces of like driftwood started to appear in like piles around me. And on these pieces of wood were these words etched on them, had words etched on them, like evil, nasty words. Like, "You're worthless. You're dirty and unwanted. Nobody loves you. You know what you did. You should be ashamed. I wish you were never born." And just a few. And as I'm looking at this, I'm crying. And Jesus said, "These are the lies that you have believed for far too long. And they must be destroyed. And those who uttered them must be forgiven." And I was like, oh boy, okay. So slowly, I picked up each piece of wood, and with Jesus's help, I threw them into that smoldering fire of ashes. And I watched as they disappeared into the embers. And with them, my resentment and my shame and my anger and my regret and my despair and my unforgiveness, it all just seemed to disappear. And Jesus said, "Okay, now you can either stay here and keep reliving this, pour some alcohol on it, keep that fire going, fan the flames of the victim villain stories that you have memorized and embellished and retold for years." Or, and then all of a sudden the room changed again. And it became like a circle, kind of like a clock. And these people, strangers, started appearing around this circle. And they were having their own experiences like I was, with Jesus coming to them with that fierce determination to save them from their ashes of despair. And he looked at me with this excitement in his eyes and he said, "Now these are the people that we can go help if you follow me. Will you follow me?" And as soon as he said that, I saw this image of a book cover appear. ashes to ashes. And he asked again, will you follow me? And I said, yes, I'll follow you. So I would love for this part to be, and so I followed Jesus forward and everything was awesome and I had fulfillment and purpose and I lived happily ever after, the end. Walk off the stage. But that's not what happened. I couldn't seem to move forward. I as I heard what he said, I knew that I had to follow him forward, and yet I didn't really know how. I knew when I heard what he said, I'm like, okay, I should write a book. That's what I thought that vision was about. So, for about 10 years after that couch moment, I tried to write a book. 10 years, I retold the story I just told to you. And I couldn't get past the part where I said, yes, I'll follow you. And it was 10 years of, buying books on how to write a book, 10 years of hiring people to tell me how to write a book, 10 years of me backspacing and checking punctuation. I was stuck. That wasn't until that grizzly man on Instagram saved me that cold winter day. And it hit me. I was like, why am I trying to write a big old book? I don't even like reading books. I like buying books. I like starting books, but I'm not an avid reader, join a book club kind of a gal. I'm a devotional book, short story kind of person. So on December of 2023, I took out a big piece of sticky easel pad paper, and stuck it on my bedroom wall. And I started putting Post-it notes of the lies and fears that I believed for so long until that piece of paper was full. And I looked back and I looked at all those lies and fears, and I kind of saw themes emerging of feeling unloved, unwanted, abandoned, unprotected, unworthy, condemned, alone. And as I looked at all that staring back at me, I got angry and I felt fiercely determined to get rid of that junk once and for all. And I was ready to do it the way I like. So January 1st, 2024, the book, a devotional I would like to read, came to life. And the title transformed into Journey from the Ashes. And I watched as Jesus canceled out all of those lies I saw staring back at me and transformed them into truths and love that would become monthly themes for the book. Truth that I am enough, I am loved, I am forgiven, I am worthy, I am protected, I am redeemed, I am grateful, I am beloved. And it was wonderful because I decided to listen to that grizzly guy's advice and do something the way I like. So I thought, I'm going to share this stuff. I put it on my website and I shared it on social media. And what happened was nothing short of amazing. People would reach out to me and be like, dude, are you stalking me? How do you know that that's what I needed to hear today? They felt seen. They didn't feel alone in the pain that they were experiencing. And I thought that the words God gave to me were changing my life. And I came to an awareness that we're all in this together. And I remembered that vision of him showing me that room with all of those people that he was helping. And I got goosebumps because I was like, it's happening. And it was happening at the right time because 2024 was the worst year in our family ever. We had a ridiculous amount of tragedy and loss, including the unexpected passing of my sister. So as frustrated as I was for those 10 years, I knew that that's when I would need him the most, and he knew it too. And so I stand with you here with this journey continuing. I'm not done, and neither is the book. I was really hoping it would be done by today so that I could hold it in my hand and tell you where you could buy 100 copies and give them to your friends. I was even prepared to give a blue light special. But if I've learned anything in the 10 years that I've been through, I know that God's timing is awesome. And he just presented me with this perfect partner who's going to help me get it edited, and published. So I'm so excited about that. So I've learned a couple things through that. Even though a book emerged through this experience, I know now that the real journey was about me accepting, receiving, and believing in God's unconditional love. And I've also realized that the stories that I have told myself about my childhood or my life experiences are that of my perception. Perhaps my villains are as thoughtless and careless as I think. Perhaps not. Either way, once you move away from those ashes, you really just don't want to talk about it anymore. Once God takes away that stuff and helps you throw that junk away, why would you ever take it back? So it doesn't mean the memories are erased. It's just that the victims and the villains are transformed into something altogether different. The things done to me, the things done by me, I know that God can redeem every single one of those and turn them into something beautiful from the ashes. So I stand before you today on my mother's birthday of all days. And I can feel her with me, and I can feel my sister and my grandmother. And we stand before you, restored, forgiven, redeemed, and oh so very loved. So if you find yourself stuck like I was, or frustrated by the expectations or shouldings of other people, I encourage you, don't give up, don't give in. God is fiercely determined to help you move forward. And he is going to keep chasing after you and show himself to you, even if it's through a grisly Grammy award-winning music producer on an Instagram post. So may you follow God forward so that you too can rise up and stand with us, knowing and believing that you are restored, forgiven, redeemed, and oh so very loved. Thank you.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changes